Good boy, I'll video your abs back at the hotel tonight. The message came just after my husband left for a business trip. After 6 years of marriage, David will reverse check every time he goes on a business trip. He never goes to entertainment venues, he will report to me when he drinks, and even when he stays in a hotel, he has to sleep with me on the video. At 9 o'clock in the evening, David sent a video invitation on time. Emma, the hotel room is so big, I want to hug you and sleep together. I blame them for not letting me. I'll definitely take you with me on my next business trip. He was sleepy-eyed in the camera, trying his best to convince me that he was the only one in the room. But he didn't know that just now. His good buddy Jack sent me a video. In the video, he's topless and bleary-eyed. The girl in the bunny girl outfit is half squatting and is all smiles, tilting her head back to kiss his abs. Emma, why are you so quiet today? The video shows David, shirtless, with the hotel's white comforter half covered, vaguely revealing his tight body. I, however, was sick to my stomach. Before I could say anything, another message popped up on my iPhone. Jack, see? He's videoing you all messing around with other women. I minimized David's face, and the video Jack sent immediately after came into view. There was the petite bunny girl hiding under the white comforter. With a pouty look on her face, she gave David a hard pinch on the thigh. A muffled grunt spilled out of the man's mouth. What's wrong? I asked him. David covered up, just accidentally knocked my knee, it's fine. Probably sensing that I was blushing, David laughed softly, and, good baby, see you are sleepy like this, hurry up and go to sleep. I'm going to sleep too, I have a meeting early tomorrow morning, said David with a lazy yawn. Hung up the phone as if he didn't mean to and couldn't wait. After the phone hung up, Jack's videos came one after the other. David lifted the covers and rolled over ferociously, crushing the bunny girl underneath him. What was that mess just now, little goblin? The bunny girl giggled playfully and begged for mercy. Don't you think that was exciting just now? If you hadn't hung up so quickly, I would have wanted her to listen to me doing. With you. David's face turned suddenly cold. I warned you, we're not going to make a scene in front of Emma, or I'll have your ass. But soon, the girl's hands went underneath him and David's eyes filled with anger turned to lust. Unpleasant sounds came out. I exited the video with nausea and ran to the toilet to vomit violently. I recognized the girl in the bunny girl outfit, her name was Sophia. I had bumped into her once at the house with David. I had forgotten to pick up something to go and come back. And as soon as I pushed the door open, I saw Sophia sitting on the couch, and when she saw me come in she stood up with a flustered look on her face. David explained to me, good girl, she rear-ended me with her car, talking about compensation. Before I could look at her more, David blew the person off. Go talk to my assistant. Sophia waited downstairs and asked for my contact information. Sister, my family bought a house over here too, so we're still neighbors, to put it mildly. Meeting her face with anticipation, I didn't say no. After that, she often updated her Facebook with large-scale photos, with mesmerizing eyes and enchanting postures. I blocked her out of annoyance, but now I ghosted her Facebook and the next second I was stunned. The dynamic that can't be slid to the bottom. Every photo carries a strong winking male vibe. The most recent update was a selfie set in the same hotel David was staying at tonight on business. I stayed up all night and scratched for a long time. It turns out that all the Facebook updates Sophia has been posting some days have been showing off for me. 6 months ago. She posted, she came back halfway, my boyfriend was scared to death, the original plan failed, but he made it up to me the next night at the hotel. It wasn't even a tailgate to talk about compensation. They were planning to have sex at home, but I crashed the party and changed the plan. The next night, David claimed to have worked late at the office and didn't return. 3 months ago. She updated a picture of a man and a woman with 2 hands interlocked with 10 fingers, and the man was wearing a wedding ring on his hand that looked exactly like David's. My boyfriend loves me so much that he bought me a suite in the next unit to make it easier for us to see each other. Of course I have to repay him hard in bed. During that time, David said he left his wedding ring at work. So he left it at his lover's house. A month ago. She sent a photo of her in a private theater, only the man's sexy collarbone was captured. I was dead set on the red mole on the collarbone, exactly the same as David's. If memory serves, it was the day of my parents' memorial. David promised to accompany me to the burial center together and changed his face when he received a phone call. Emma, the client has an urgent maintenance issue, I have to rush over there. He wasn't meeting any client at all. Instead, he was in the private theater Sophia had booked, indulging in romantic tenderness. I was crying my heart out at the burial center. And he was misty-eyed underneath another woman. I watched all night. Until it was dawn, but half asleep. I got up to get some breakfast, and was so muddled on the way that I almost got hit by a car, when suddenly a broad hand held me up. Emma. It was Jack, who had a worried look on his face and hesitated for a moment before speaking slowly. You've seen all those videos, right? I said, wanting to talk to him. Sitting in the cafe, Jack had his arms folded and was a little nervous. Emma, I'm sorry you have to know this, but I feel that you need to know. I quietly scrutinized Jack. But aren't you David's best buddy? You've worn the same pants since college, taken over the family business and are good buddies. It stands to reason that you'd keep this from him. Mockery colored the bottom of my eyes. Jack, how come you're willing to tell me all this? David was so trusting, never shying away from him, that he didn't mind him being around when he was in love with his lover. Jack froze and gave a rueful smile. I didn't think you'd see it after all these years. He raised his eyes and looked me straight in the eye. Emma, because I like you. I froze. His voice rang out softly. Emma, David and I have been close all these years because of you. I even liked you before David did. Jack and I, David, the three of us have known each other since college. David and I fell in love at first sight and were soon together, from campus to marriage for 8 whole years. Jack was the only one who never had a girlfriend. People around him joked that his sexual orientation was no longer normal, and he still refused to get close to women. You see, I'm such a good actor, no one has seen it all these years, right? Jack lowered his eyelids and smiled to himself. You don't joke. I scrambled to pick up my coffee and took a disguised sip, only to be burned. Jack skillfully handed over a napkin. I know you love David, and he loves you, and I had planned to rot this love for the rest of my life. But I didn't realize that it's only been a few years, and he's hiding another woman. Emma, I couldn't bear to let you be deceived. Leave him. His eyes were glazed and deep. I've been waiting for you. Originally, Jack was going on a business trip with David. But he was worried that I would do something stupid if I knew the truth, and he rushed back early in the night just to see me. I smiled, don't worry, I won't do anything stupid. At least, until I get back what's rightfully mine. I was absent-mindedly leaving the cafe when my iPhone rang. A message from David. Good girl, business trip ended early today, I bought you your favorite cake, wait for me back at home. He also sent a picture of the strawberry-flavored cake. I didn't reply, just silently counted our joint marital property. David loved me enough to be married for 6 years, and the combination to the safe was my birthday, as was the bank account. He had said, the money and me, it's all Emma's. He also swore to me with red eyes, if I really do anything wrong to Emma, let me get out of the house and die. I'm afraid he's long forgotten the oath he made in the depths of his love. But I remember. I sent the cheating videos Jack sent me to the lawyer. And, of course, the traces I had stayed up all night to compile from Sophia's Facebook. I had just closed my computer when David hugged me from behind. Emma, I missed you so much. He carries a cold breeze with him. It was carefully handled, but it still vaguely carried the scent of another woman. I silently pushed him away. I thought you were traveling for 3 days, why are you back early? David smiled a soft smile as he touched my face. Did you forget what tomorrow is? I froze, 6th wedding anniversary? Correct answer. He scratched my nose. I can't be too busy to keep me from coming back and spending my anniversary with my good boy. I sneer mentally. Little does he know, I just saw Sophia's Facebook update. She said, someone is really pulling AD. He left when he was satisfied, but it's okay, he promised me a more exciting one tomorrow. In the hotel box. David had set up a big celebration. A 2-tiered cake with the words, grow old together, be happy forever. Ironic. David didn't let me drink before, but tonight he poured me a few more. Emma, I'm with you anyway, let the driver take us back later, don't worry about drinking. My eyes mocked, he was just trying to get me drunk to sneak off on a date with his lover. 15 minutes ago. The message pops up as he cuts the cake. I'm here, waiting for you in the restroom. I've seen that avatar many times. It's Sophia. And finally realized what she was referring to with that Facebook last night, that more exciting one he promised for tomorrow. Here's the food you guys wanted. The familiar female voice rang out and David's body suddenly tightened. He looked up incredulously, and the visitor was none other than Sophia, who was pretending to be a waitress to deliver the food. Sophia put down the dishes and retrieved her hand, deliberately touching David's hand ambiguously. What are you doing here? Get out. David whispered angrily at her. I missed you. Sophia smiled slightly, gave me a provocative look, and left. David's breath stopped and he looked nervous, only relieved when he saw nothing on my face. Emma, my stomach hurts a little, I'm going to the restroom. Don't you run off, 10 minutes tops, I'll be back. I sneered down, go. He ran out as if he were being pardoned. Just a minute later, I also went to the restroom. There was a vaguely angry voice from inside. Do you want to die? Why did you purposely show up in front of my wife just now? From inside came the sound of a belt binding the wrists. The girl wooed and aggravated, who let you stay with your wife all the time. I waited for you for so long and still didn't come, so I had to go check on you. Besides, I just wore waiter's clothes to go. Your wife surely didn't see it and won't suspect you. David grunted coldly. Soon the girl begged for mercy, with a sobbing voice. I'm wrong, I'll never appear in front of your wife again. Male and female ambiguous voices intertwined. I leaned against the wall in despair, tears streaming down my face. You're not wearing it again? The girl suddenly pouted out. David gave a mocking smile. No, just give birth if you're pregnant. Sophia smiled triumphantly. Brother Nanjo, I knew that the person you love is me, otherwise how could you not wear it every time? David seemed to press her head in contempt. Emma is afraid of pain, that's why I don't let her give birth, otherwise where would you be? I smiled bitterly, this was not the David I knew. We were only a wall apart. He takes 10 minutes out of his anniversary to overlap with his lover even when he's free. Is it that much of an obsession with young flesh? Or just like the novelty? I shook my head, completely dying to leave, and just as I turned around, I was pressed against the wall. Jack held me down with red eyes. Emma, why torture yourself like that? Turns out, he'd been watching me the whole time. Since he's wronged you, why don't you get back at him too? I don't mind being the tool of your revenge. Said he leaned down to kiss up. But was quickly pushed away by me. The corner of his eyes flashed a forlorn smile. I knew it, Emma, you still love him, don't you? I shook my head, not now. He looked up at me. I sneer, I can try to date you, but only after I get divorced. Surprise surfaces on Jack's face, are you serious? Okay, then I'll wait for you. Take a walk with me to sober up. I said. Half an hour later, David came out of the restroom satisfied and returned to the box without seeing me. He was instantly frantic. Emma, where have you been? He called, which I pressed out with my backhand. I was walking to the door of the box with Jack when he found me. Emma, where have you been? I didn't answer your calls, I'm so anxious. He excitedly held me in his arms as if he was relieved. Good baby, from now on, don't run around, I'll really go crazy in a hurry. Thank you Makino, worthy of being my good brother, send Emma back, I'll treat you to dinner someday. He would rather believe that I got lost and was sent back by Jack. Nor believe he was prying. Would you really go crazy in a hurry if I disappeared into thin air? I asked him on the way back, and David took me into his arms with a doting look on his face. Of course, Emma, you're my life. But in 3 days, I would surprise him. Sign it. I handed David a document. It's a donation letter, you know, I've been giving financial aid to poor mountainous children. This time it's a donation of $2 million. Good. David didn't even look at it, took the signing pen and quickly signed his name. I smiled down. You signed it without even looking at it. Aren't you afraid that what I'm giving you is a divorce agreement? David rubbed my hair. Even if it's a bill of sale, as long as it's from Emma, I'll sign it. When his figure disappeared into the study, I looked at the divorce papers I had just signed and slowly smiled away. David. From now on, we're done for good. As you said, you're going to have a clean slate and nothing to show for it. David went to bed early at night. Good girl, I'll be traveling again tomorrow for about 3 days. I'll check in with you every day. I was absently reading a book and nodded, okay. Sophia messaged me a long time ago. Emma, we're both women, I'm sure you saw it a long time ago, I'm having an affair with your husband. Do you believe he's going to tell you tonight that he's traveling for 3 days? Actually, he's taking me to the newly opened Seaside BB to try out the sting. I read it with an expressionless face and sent a decisive screenshot to my lawyer. David probably couldn't have imagined it. He went to a seaside bed and breakfast with his lover. I also went with Jack. He congratulated me on my return to singleness, and that night we drank red wine and naturally slept together. Jack, who had been single for 8 years, was really much more aggressive than David. He pestered me night after night as if I were a treasure. Our iPhones were turned off and we stayed at the beach BB for 3 days. On the 3rd day, I was lying in Jack's arms when I opened my iPhone and saw a series of missed calls. They were all from David. I casually threw them away and huddled in Jack's arms for another night's sleep. It wasn't until the afternoon that the iPhone rang again and Jack answered. "You looking for Emma? She's not awake yet, call me if you need anything." David froze, reacting with exasperation. "Jack. Are you with Emma? What are you doing? Get my wife on the phone." Jack let out a low laugh. "But she's lying in my arms asleep and needs me to kiss her awake." "Jack. Do you realize what you're saying? I warned you, even if you're my best buddy, don't make jokes like that, Emma is my life." Jack scoffed out. "David, I've been sick of seeing you for a long time. You claim she's your life, hypocritical or not, dare you tell Emma what you're doing now?" Of course David dared not. "Just last night." I still hear his and Sophia's gasps coming from next door. He used a business trip as an excuse, but he brought Sophia here to fool around. It's just that he couldn't imagine. Last night, when he and Sophia were making earth-shattering noise, Jack and I were also indulging ourselves. "Jack, you asshole." David cursed into the phone. "You tell me where you are and I'll come get you right now." Jack smiled provocatively, "Come on if you can." Before hanging up the phone, I heard the sound of David smashing his iPhone. Just in the next room, came the sound of David's cranky cursing. "Jack, you son of a bitch." Sophia had never seen David this impulsive and subconsciously wanted to go forward to stop him. "Brother Nanjo, don't get excited, maybe they are purposely pissing you off, trying to make you jealous, believe it and you'll fall for it." Thinking of me, Sophia gave a provocative smile. "For a good girl like Emma, she must be waiting for you at home right now, how could she be hanging out with another man?" David hammered his fist hard against the wall, his face dead white. "No, it's not possible. Emma's iPhone never turns off, but it's been 3 days and she hasn't turned it on," said David as he hurriedly got up and got dressed. "I have to go back and check." David has been married for the past 6 years and has always liked to create the persona of a doting wife in front of me. Whenever he traveled on business, he would check in with me every day. Just because I don't like entertainment venues, he never goes there. Other people ask the wife at home is strict. But in the past 3 days, Sophia was so crazy that she brought a suitcase full of erotic clothes and wore them to him every night. David fell uncontrollably. So much so that it was the 3rd day before he started to panic. David dialed my number over and over again, but no one answered. "Emma, pick up the phone, I'll be in a hurry." Suddenly something came to mind. He opened the iPhone lookup when we bought the same couple iPhone. David bound both of our locations in the first place. "Emma, I never want to lose you. That way, we can see where each other's locations are." David's eyes lit up and he quickly called to find out. But the moment he saw my location, his face instantly went white. "How can?" David mumbled as he lost his strength and sat back down on the bed, staring deathly at the location that almost overlapped his. How could the location show that Emma is here too? Could it be, she knows all about it? Not a trace of blood left David's face, and he was quick to deny himself again. "No, it must be a coincidence. After 3 full days of tossing and turning, my legs are still too weak to get out of bed now." Jack patiently helped me get dressed, laughing softly every now and then, taking me into his arms and kissing me. "What are you happy about, like a little fool?" "I'm happy." Jack pressed his chin against my forehead affectionately. "You don't know, I'm still dreaming about it, Emma, you're finally willing to look at me." I smiled and hugged Jack, only to feel my heart and soul condense and a wave of reassurance permeate my heart. "Actually, it was you I liked in the beginning. In college, but you were cold and they all said you liked guys, so I Jack smiled remorsefully. It's my fault. Emma, it's my fault for not being brave enough to miss you for years. He tenderly took me in his arms. Just then, the door was suddenly kicked in. Jack. I can't believe it's really you. David rushed in, red-eyed with annoyance. The room we booked was a beachfront BB, and just now when David exited the hallway, he vaguely heard my voice and thought it was an illusion. But the more he listened, the more convinced he was. Until he kicked the door in hard and turned green when he saw the two of us hugging. Emma, how could you do this to me? His eyes were full of hurt. But I glanced coldly at Sophia behind him and laughed softly. David, better mind your own business first, you haven't even buttoned yourself up yet, who are you to mind me? David instantly blushed and scrambled to push Sophia out of the way. Emma, don't misunderstand. That woman just now, I have nothing to do with her. It's you guys instead, why are you together? David swung his fist like crazy and was about to slam it towards Jack. You son of a bitch. I treated you as a good brother for so many years, and this is how you treat me? How dare you bully my wife while I'm not around? You know full well that Emma is my life. Jack, who was better at boxing than he was, deftly dodged past him, only to slam him hard in the face the next second. How do you have the face to say such things? David, you're out there messing around with another woman and you think paper can hold fire? You're the one who wronged Emma first, since you don't love her anymore, don't hurt her, you're not the only one who wants to guard her. David stared at him dead in disbelief. You, what did you say? What are you babbling about in front of Emma? His face was pale, his forehead bruised. Yet another layer of cold sweat. Emma, don't believe Jack, he's deliberately trying to pry me away while he has the chance, he's plotting against you. I laughed softly as I held Jack's hand, and spoke softly under David's face, which was becoming more and more ugly, and I'm willing to be pried away by him, that's our business, not yours. David was completely exasperated. Emma, do you want to be shameless? You're my wife. I looked at him blandly, perhaps realizing that what he said was a bit heavy-handed, and in an instant softened my tone, coming up to me and begging me. Emma, I don't blame you, it must have been this Jack guy who seduced you. I'll pretend you guys were drunk last night and nothing happened, let's go home, come on, let's go home. I sneered and shook his hand off. David, we don't have a home anymore. You can take your little mistress home and toss her around all you want, I don't care. I'll be your wife from now on, but not anymore. We're divorced. David leapt to his feet, incredulous. What did you say? He looked a little funny as he was beaten up by Jack. But he didn't care. Still staring at me dead on, are you kidding me, Emma? I was only on a business trip for 3 days, when did I get divorced? Since he doesn't believe it. Then I took out the divorce agreement to show him. 3 days ago, you already signed the divorce agreement, it's already in effect. David suddenly sneered, Emma, stop it. I know you were compelled by this Jack kid, and took out some forged divorce agreement to fool me, just like a child playing house. When did I ever sign divorce papers? And I don't even remember signing such a thing. I interrupted him. I clipped it to that donation letter, David, and I advised you at the time that you'd better take a look at it, or there won't be much of a chance of remedying the situation if you sign it as a divorce decree. The smile froze on David's face. He finally remembered something and snatched the electronic divorce papers from my iPhone and looked at them carefully before he was completely convinced. No, it can't be. David dropped to the floor. Emma, I treated you with all my heart, why would you go to such lengths to lie to me? He reddened. Truly treat me? I burst out laughing. You mean by volunteering to check in every day while hiding another woman under the covers? Or lying to me about traveling on business, but bringing a mistress to a beachside bed and breakfast to try out a new thrill? Or, taking advantage of our anniversary and asking your young lover to make love to you once in the restroom? David's face paled with each additional word I said. Until finally, his lips were trembling. Emma, you. How do you know? I obviously hid these very well, how could you possibly know? I raised my eyes coldly, my gaze falling on Sophia behind him. David suddenly dawned on me, he stared viciously at Sophia, wasn't it you? I warned you that what happened between us couldn't be brought to Emma's attention, how did she know all about it? I told you, if you can't keep your mouth shut, I'll make you pay. Sophia instantly turned white with fear, it wasn't me. She panicked and pointed at me, it must be this bitch, she made up all these words to cheat with your brother? Or maybe, it was all Jack who told her. Have you forgotten that he was there when we were intimate before? David looked coldly at Jack. I've been so blind all these years, treating you like a good brother, giving up clients to you, and this is how you repay me? Jack gave a mocking smile. David, how do you have the nerve to say such things? Ask yourself, who really helped who over the years? The reason why I got close to you was just to let Emma follow you to live a good life and not be aggrieved. That's why I let you have those clients. Your company has faced crises time and time again, which time wasn't I the one who helped you solve it? Otherwise Yushin will always treat me as a good brother. David, don't tell too many lies, or else after a long time, you will even lie to yourself. David suddenly realized that Jack was the biggest client of his company. Such a mess. I'm afraid that the investment in a few days will be completely lost as well. Why did it come to this? David despaired, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, why did you all betray me? Sophia pathetically hugged him, Brother Nanjo, I told you that they all say bad people, only I love you the most. Stop pretending, Sophia. I pulled a pregnancy test report from my iPhone. Laying it in front of David. This is what Sophia sent me. She said that you guys didn't take precautions many times, and this is proof that she's pregnant. David, we didn't betray you, you're the one who got what you deserve. You brought all this on yourself, so wrap it up and fix it yourself. Jack and I left the beachfront BB, but didn't go back to Cloud City. Instead, we wandered around the nearby attractions for a long time. It was like being back in college. In college, Jack had always been by my side silently. Even when David and I went out on a date, he would silently follow behind us. He would memorize my period and change it to hot milk when someone handed me an ice-cold Coke. He would know my class schedule and take my seat an hour earlier. It's just that once upon a time, I always thought that David made him do it. Thank Nanjo for me. I was immersed in the sweetness of love, and he didn't deny it when I blurted it out. Now that I think about it, he must not have felt good inside at the time. I remembered a time when there was a truth or dare. Jack drew the sign and everyone asked him who his favorite person was and if he was there. Jack looked at me, looked down and smiled softly. I'll go with drinking. He drank 5 whole bottles of wine that day. Getting himself completely drunk. Only to witness me being picked up by David. Emma, I stood beside you and had no business caring about you. I put up with that feeling for 8 years. Now, God has finally had mercy on me. Jack took me deep in his arms and kissed me again and again, as if he had finally gotten the supreme treasure he wanted. Emma, you're my moon too. As I smiled and left, he took my hand and got down on one knee, conjuring another ring from his pocket. Emma, will you marry me? I won't be like David, I've waited 8 years for you and will love and protect you for the rest of your life. The look of deep love on his face was about to melt my heart. I hesitated for a moment and finally surrendered. I do. I smiled and extended my hand. After returning to Yunqing, I received a call from my lawyer. He said that a divorce case was soon to be filed and that he was fully confident that he would be able to award David a clean bill of health. Emma, I'll give you everything you want, I don't want a penny. David suddenly appeared. He appeared behind me with red eyes, almost pleading. I'll give you anything you want, just please don't leave me, Emma, don't divorce me. I looked faintly at David in front of me. It's only been a few days since I've seen him. The hair on his temples had turned white for many times, and his whole person looked haggard. It was probably the double pressure of family and career that had dealt him a heavy blow. Emma, you don't have to worry about that bitch Sophia anymore. She has already gone to the hospital to have an abortion. She can never have another child again, and will never be a threat to us again. I looked at him incredulously. David, who are you to take away another girl's reproductive rights? It's obvious that you're the one who screwed up the problem, so what gives you the right to make someone else be punished and then ask me to forgive you? You're really brazen. I say these words with a sneer while David's lips tighten. Emma, I know you don't believe me, but the truth is, she seduced me. She has always wanted to marry me to be a rich and powerful wife, not hesitating to sell her flesh. I admit, I did not resist the temptation for a moment. But Emma, the only person I love is you. I have no intention of marrying her. He coquettishly said more words that only made me feel sick. David. I raised my hand and waved my brand new wedding ring. I've said yes to Jack's proposal. I'll never have anything to do with you ever again. The divorce suit was quickly won. David was sentenced to a clean break, and the company faced serious losses and even bankruptcy. The former high and mighty president, who bought roses all over the city on my birthday, had no trouble creating romantic love. Now it was burst like a bubble. David was left with nothing and came begging for me in a state of distress. "Emma, I realize now how deeply I hurt you." He gazed at Jack and I holding hands together with a hurt look on his face and shook his head ruefully. "Seeing you together makes my heart feel like it's being stabbed with a knife and I can't breathe. I'm sorry." These days. I sensed that David had been following us. Jack accompanied me to pick out my wedding dress, and he sneaked up behind me. David accompanied me to the mall, and he was secretly peering around the corner. Even when David bought me a villa, he followed me to the real estate transaction center and watched us from afar. Just like a rat in the gutter, peeping into other people's happiness. Obviously this happiness originally belonged to him. But he made it disappear by himself. "David, you don't have to say this, those things are in the past, I don't care about it for a long time, and I'm going to get married soon." David opened his mouth, but his lips trembled and he swallowed what he was going to say. Just as well. With those two words, he left with a hunched back, like someone had broken his spine. It was as if the spirited David of that year had long since disappeared. At Jack and I's wedding, a friend brought a note from David. He said, "Emma, I'm no longer qualified to say I love you. Now I have nothing, even if you follow me, you won't be happy, I only hope Jack can treat you well. I regret to death, regret why I didn't resist the temptation, for the sake of a moment of freshness, bury the wife who loves me and happy home. I am no longer qualified to ask for your forgiveness. I only hope you can be happy in your life." I minimized David's face, and the video Jack sent immediately after came into view. As this later I heard that after Sophia was forcibly aborted, she learned she'd never be able to have another baby. Then, with revenge on her mind, she asked David out on the rooftop. "You said it, you hated dying in my bed with me. David, how can you not keep your word?" Sophia was so hurt that she laughed maniacally. "But you killed our baby, it wasn't even born yet, how could you bear to do that when it was so small? We, as parents, should have gone down to be with it too." This story made the news. The reporter reported that it was a man and a woman, and I don't know if it was a martyrdom or a love affair. I opened Sophia's Facebook. The latest update was still stuck on the day of the beach BB. There were no more updates. This farce is finally over, but I still feel sorry for Sophia. She could have had a great life if she hadn't taken the wrong path.